Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second series of the Virtual Coffee Show, Episode 1. We continue to bring great insights into higher education for students and professionals. And today our guests include the co-founder of upGrad, Falgun. upGrad is the largest online provider of higher education in India, and I'm definitely going to ask Falgun to share the upGrad story from inception to where it is today. So recent graduates, new students, or even future entrepreneurs, stay completely tuned to the show. You're likely to receive some great piece of advice from Falgun, as well as our honorable representatives from Chandigarh University. So we are also joined by Dr. Bawa, who is the Pro-Chancellor at Chandigarh University. The university ranks in the top 5% institutions in India to receive the A+ rating by NAC. And also joining us today is Dr. Sharma, who is the Director of International Affairs at Chandigarh University. So a very warm welcome to all our prominent guests on the show today. And I'm going to start with Falgun. Falgun, today online education has become a norm in India, but upGrad was actually founded back in 2015. What was that key trigger point for you to really start the journey as an online education provider? Can you share the story in brief from the inception to where upGrad is today?
Great. Thanks, Shrikant. Thanks, everybody. Pleasure to be here today. As Shrikant mentioned, my name is Falgun, and I'm one of the co-founders of upGrad, and started this about 6 years back with my uncle Ronnie. Even before starting upGrad, I worked in education for 4 years with the Parthenon Group as a principal in their Mumbai office. And in that role, I had the opportunity to work in multiple countries in higher education and K-12. And one of our realizations was that the foundations of education are three things. The first is access, the second is affordability, and the third is quality. You first need to have access to education. Once you have access, you need to be able to afford it. And if you're able to afford it, then what you get should be of high quality, both in terms of learning outcomes and career outcomes. And our observation that not just in India, but globally, this is broken, right? Where either one of these three pillars or all three of these pillars are broken. And online education can solve for all three of them. And I remember when MOOCs came back in 2012, it was a really exciting time, and we were really excited about what it could do, because as I said, online education can solve for access, can make things more affordable, can provide better quality by amplifying the quality of a teacher. And I remember being in New York and reading the New York Times headlines in 2012, which said MOOCs are here to break down campus walls. And from that day, we have been obsessed about what online could do for the world of education to provide quality at scale. And 2-3 years in their evolution, we saw that MOOCs were solving for part of the problem, but they were becoming more of a hobbyist platform as compared to a rigorous online higher education destination, right? And that's where we at upGrad started with a vision of saying, what can we do to not become an online content library, but to become a world-class online university where people can come, enjoy a fully structured academic experience where they can get great outcomes, both in terms of learning outcomes and career outcomes. So our journey over the last 6 years has been working towards that mission, where we partner with great universities like Chandigarh University, Amrita, the IITs, IIMs in India, the Dukes, Whartons, Liverpools, and Deakins of the world, to make sure that we work with these universities and their faculty very closely to design, develop, and then deliver world-class online programs. These could be 6-month certificates, 3-year bachelor's, 4-year PhD programs, but cover the full spectrum to give people, and finally solve that jinx of saying that if it is at scale, it is not high quality in education, because scale and quality in higher education have always been counteracting forces. But how can you create a product where both scale and quality go together to solve a mass need is something that we've been working towards and will continue to work towards.
Excellent. That's a very interesting background of upGrad. Thank you for sharing, Falgun. And Professor Bawa, now that we see online education has, it's catching pace rapidly in India, and the key question, which a lot of our audience always ask is it really value? Does it add real value to the students when it comes to, the actual learning outcomes? So what are your thoughts on online education? Dr. Bawa?
Yeah, well, I think I very strongly feel that online education is meant to add value to the education of the students, especially in the professional fields, like in management and engineering and hospitality and data science and computer science and so on and so forth. You see, I don't see. What I'm seeing in future is that there are universities and institutions which can really, you can say, cope up with the changing technologies, especially the kind of disruptions which are taking place. So fast development and change in technology, and the requirements for jobs in the top companies. But many are neither capable nor are, I think, ready for this kind of thing. So, for especially for those institutions, online education is not only going to be a value addition, but they are going to be of immense value, because otherwise these students are going to remain, you can say, in a way, deprived of the current developments and changes in the field. Even for a university like Chandigarh University, we did feel that there are areas where I think having association and tie up with a company like upGrad is going to be of immense value to the students, and it is adding value to the students. And so I see that online education, especially like Mr. Falgun has said, which is well conceived, designed, well developed, and then delivered in the most, I would say, efficient manner. These kind of online education is going to be of immense value, and they are a definite value addition to our campus education. Now coming to the university institutions like upGrad and other people and MOOCs, I very strongly feel that no online education can replace a campus. If anybody believes that they can replace campus, I'm sorry, this is a myth. It will never happen, not in 200 years. Because campus will remain, and campus is of utmost importance that transform the life of a student, their outlook, their behavior, and the way they think, the way they interact, the way they cooperate. So many things are there. And then there are so many courses which cannot be taught online with the best available technology even today. Practical things to be done, workshop things to be done, and so on and so forth, hands-on training. For that, we have 37 labs on the campus set up by industry. So that could have been done online if it was possible to do it online. Why set up labs on the campus? Nevertheless, there are areas which no university can provide 100% quality in all the areas of any course, any program. Maybe MBA, management, maybe computer science, maybe electronics. Maybe. No university in the world, even the best university, Harvard, I don't think they can claim that we are best in the world in everything that we do. No, it cannot be. So we need to supplement. So this role will have to be done by online institutions, online university you may call, or like upGrad. So Chandigarh University, if I feel that, okay, this is an area where at the moment I don't have, maybe tomorrow after 10 years I'll develop my own competencies, but then I will not have competence in other area. So those areas will remain, and they will have to be covered by the agencies and the institutions like upGrad, where we get, like very rightly he said, the one good teacher or one good resource can help so many students in Chandigarh University also, and maybe MIT also, and Amrita also. So many times I can't afford. Maybe I can't afford Amrita. Everybody cannot have the same person, but they can have the help of the same person. So I very strongly feel that these online education not only adds values, it also adds content. It also gives, I think, the students a little bit of an advantage, those who get this education, over the others who are not exposed to this kind of education. This can also be used, maybe not a kind of, like I said, that something I don't have. No, even if I have some kind of supplementary knowledge, something which can complement what I have already told them, something which will put their mind to a different way of thinking. So all these things will definitely be required, and online education is going to be a very, very important component of any campus in future. Thanks so much. Well, maybe in some areas, some disciplines, I would say, it can. Like, for example, in management, for example, in law, It can be there are some areas where it can overshadow, because there the resource person is of great importance. And if you can get hold of a resource person who is renowned, who has practical experience, a person who has all the qualities, every university cannot afford. So for some campuses, at least, I would not say all the campuses, for all the campuses, all the universities, all the institutions, the online education will overshadow the campus education. But in many of them, it will be their compulsion. There'll be no choice. They will have to bring in a lot of online education, so that the students are not deprived of what they cannot afford on campus.
So just before I address this particular question on competition, right, I would like to just add something about the previous question that you asked in terms of online education overshadowing on-campus education. I don't think it is about competition or overshadowing anybody or anything, right? I think everything has a certain purpose that it serves, and that is what we should be concerned about in terms of how we do a great job there, right? So for example, I'll take it to the ultimate extreme in retail, right? Now, does a Zara or an H&M overshadow Hermes and Louis Vuitton? It's hard to answer that question, right? Because they are serving a certain purpose and these guys are serving a certain purpose, and it's a very different value proposition in terms of what you're trying to achieve. So similarly, I think let's take Harvard, right? Now, Harvard does a certain job in terms of their philosophy of everything else, but let's take Coursera. Now, you and I can keep debating here on what we believe is net more value add to the world. I can say it's Coursera and you can say it's Harvard, but we can keep having that conversation. For me, the beauty of doing something online is that you can do it at significant scale and make sure that you do not become an exclusive elite club, right? That's the biggest purpose of being able to do something online. And as part of that, it's very easy to say that we take 100 students and they will give great outcomes, right? If you're taking somebody who already has 1800 on SATs and who has a CGPA of 4.0, that person is very likely to complete his program well and do well in life anyway, right? But what about, forget the top 1%, what about the bottom 20%? What about the middle 50%? How do you impact them, and how do you do that at scale is where the beauty of an online solution comes into play, right? And it's two different missions that you're working towards. So I don't think of overshadowing or anything. This is the mission that excites us and excites other people. Some other mission excites somebody else. So I think that's my take on that part of it. Second, in terms of competition, when it comes to online, I think it's really good that there are a lot of people who are doing online learning these days. I think it is still a very, very nascent concept, not only in India, but also globally. And we have to build a lot of evangelism for online education, because I think the biggest thing that has to change is how society and employers perceive online education, right? And if that changes, a lot of things will change. And that will change only when a lot of people are actually invested in making it successful. So I actually enjoy every time somebody opens an online education company, because I think we're solving for the larger macro problem of saying, how do you make online education mainstream? Because the biggest problem today for me is not competition. The biggest problem for me today is an employer saying, online education, I won't interview you, right? The biggest problem is your uncle saying, acha tune to online padha hai, right? That's my biggest problem, right? So if I can address that, then I think I have won the long-term macro battle, and this competition we will deal with. It's okay. And from that standpoint, building that evangelism is what is more important. And that I think is happening finally, partly because of COVID, because people didn't have an option. And when they started doing it, a penny dropped saying that, oh, you know what, I can actually learn online. I thought it's not possible. Employers have now said, we never thought you can work from home, but now I see that you can be productive from home. So I think COVID has accelerated a lot of macro trends, and more people coming in and doing this will accelerate that further. So that's how I think of building that thing out. The second thing that will happen in the long run is that, see, the pace of technology is also going to be, if technology evolution is going to be very fast, right? There were a lot of things that we could not do as far as 5 years back, be it online proctoring, be it something else, We recently partnered with iWay Vision, Israel San Francisco-based company, which does AR solutions, augmented reality solutions for media, sports, and education. So we are seeing how to make it a much more immersive experience. And I think the solution is beautiful. You'll be blown away if you just put on that headset and try and do our data visualization course, right? So I think that is also going to evolve very fast, and it is going to get into a space where a lot of things can happen that today we do not really see. But for me, more competition right now in online education is good, because I think it will evangelize the concept of online education and make it mainstream as compared to it being considered as a second-class citizen in the whole scheme of things.
One observation here, this online education, like Mr. Falgun said, providing the scale, like you can provide the level of education to many institutions. What I feel is that, and I'm talking about my university first, what we decided right in the beginning was that we'll be a university with a difference. We don't want to be a part of the crowd. We want to do everything differently. So I will never want that what is being given to X university should be given to me, or what X university is doing, I should be doing the same. Like I tell you, when we talked about MOOCs, the challenge that we took upon ourselves. Why don't we create our own MOOCs? Why don't we create all this? And I'm very happy to share, I'm sure Mr. Falgun will appreciate this, that, we are running our university on our own software. It's our own ERP solution, which we decided to create in-house right from day one. And it went on successfully. Now, of course, we have acquired a new platform, only platform, which will be integrated with our own UAMS, that is Blackboard, because it was necessitated in the sense that the massive scale at which we had to provide online education and, meeting all the challenges of giving not blended, but total online education during this COVID period. But otherwise, we as a university believe that we should rather be a provider than receiver or seeker. So I think the individuality and the characteristics of the university, some universities like us will not like to lose. So like you said, overwhelming participation of online education, especially online education provided from outside, external online education. So some universities like us may like to deliberately keep it at a lower level. But of course, like I said earlier, I have no hesitation in saying that like upGrad, it is helping us in many areas, and we'll keep on seeking in the short run some help from them. But then let me also say, without any aspersion on anybody, there'll be large number of institutions which will require this kind of massive support, because everybody cannot afford or cannot get the kind of expertise and the kind of you can say rapid changes which happen to be accommodated in their own system. So this was my take.
That's obviously opened up a lot of collaboration opportunities with overseas institutions. I won't say opened up, but it has probably increase the number of participation that overseas institutions would have had earlier. And we are a good example here, where earlier we never thought of partnering with online education providers or partnering, getting into a tri-party arrangement like we are at the moment. But this has obviously created a new access for Indian students to be able to study with an overseas institution as well as with an Indian institution such as Chandigarh University. So here's where Dr. Sharma, I would like to ask you a question. Have you seen a change in the pattern, or have you seen any increase in participation, via overseas institutions to try and get into arrangements like these ones, where there's more interest or where there's more curiosity, tying up with local institutions or via upGrad? Have you seen any change in behavior on that front?
Definitely, the craze of the students is increasing day by day. But I think Dr. Bawa can reply better to this question. Sir, Dr. Bawa?
Okay, the question of online, what has happened is that this online education and online technology having been available, this has actually positively contributed in even during COVID time. For example, the number of foreign students which are joining Chandigarh University have not decreased. What was expected in the normal course of action is that when COVID time is there, that many students will not like to join any foreign university and all those kind of things. So I think because of the availability of technology and online education and the kind of platform that we have, because we kind of positioned ourselves in such a manner, I'm very happy to share that even this year, in fact, we got more students than previous year from foreign countries. And not only that, I'm again happy to share that even our total admissions in the university were better than last year. So I mean, for many universities, it's been a challenge. This year has been a year of challenge. I'm talking about 2021. 2021 has been a real challenge, getting students and convincing them that, okay, even if the university doesn't open, campus doesn't open, we'll be able to deliver through online modes and all those kind of things. So I think our previous experience and our positioning in terms of having useful technology and experimentation right from 2012, it really helped. So this also points to the fact that blended learning and online education tools, I would say, I would not say education as such, they are going to play a great role in future. And all those institutions which will be able to provide quality education, they will attract not only our own Indian students, but even foreign students.
Right. Thank you.
In addition to this, I would like to add something. Every year, we invite a lot of faculty members, professors to the Chandigarh University for various programs like International Faculty Development Program, as well as Faculty Exchange Program. This year, we invite more than 100 professors from our partner universities to participate in these programs. And a lot of students, most of the students can get the benefit of all those resources. This is only possible because of this online learning.
Falgun, I've got a question here. Thank you, Dr. Sharma. Falgun, now obviously upGrad has provided online education to thousands of students, and we are very keen to know what has been the most commonly received positive feedback. Obviously the quality of education and all that stays in its place, but when it comes to online education, it's a different game altogether compared to face-to-face. So what has been the most positive feedback commonly received by upGrad from its graduates?
So I think the most common underlying feedback that we have gotten, which we are really happy about and we continue to improvise on, is the delivery of outcomes, right? People saying that, look, I did this and I got what I was expecting, either in terms of becoming a great data scientist or finding a job in data science, or becoming a great manager after my MBA course or whatever. So I think the fundamental feedback is that, look, I'm really happy with the kind of outcomes that I have received. Now, there are many individual stories to this, right? So for example, when one of our learners gets back to us and says that, look, I dropped out of school when I was 12 years old because of my family things or whatever else. Then I did distance education. Then I did this. I was working in the Indian Navy since I was 16 years old. And this is the first time I actually feel like I am learning something in my life when I'm doing your PG diploma in data science. And then he goes on to become a data scientist at Z5, right? Or there is somebody who writes us an email saying, look, I am a small shop owner in Rajasthan, some tier 4 city in Rajasthan. And I have done this digital marketing program from Mica on the upGrad platform. And it has really helped me understand how to boost my sales online by being on Amazon, by being on X or being on Y or all of these platforms. And I have really increased my business thanks to you guys. I would not have otherwise gotten access. Or another example where a lady writes to us saying that, look, I had taken a break after my maternity and I thought it will be a 1 to 2 year break, but it ended up being a 14-year break. I never had the confidence of how to get back to work and what to do, but I did your master's in data science program and now I've gotten back to work. Now, these are individual stories that motivate us every single day, and I can keep listing these, right? But the underlying feedback is that we are able to deliver outcomes for people. And that is the most reinforcing and that is the most important feedback that we can get. Obviously, there will always be constructive feedback as well, or sometimes cynical feedback as well, that look, this is not working or that is not working, and that's part of the process. We will need to improve, we will need to take it on face value, we will need to appreciate that feedback, and we will need to fix that. But I think the fundamental thing that gives us a lot of joy is our ability to deliver those outcomes for people at scale.
Right. And just on that very note, interesting point you make, where people may have positive or negative feedback also. And this is where, where Chandigarh University students have been used to face-to-face learning, and then literally a sudden move and migration to online learning. How challenging was that for students? So from your end, I do understand you had the IT infrastructure to back it all up, but was it challenging for your students, or what sort of challenges did your students face perhaps in the initial few weeks or months?
This for me or this for Dr. Bawa, I guess?
Any of you, from Chandigarh University would be good.
What has been your feedback, Mr. Falgun?
I think for us, obviously somebody who's doing an on-campus program and is used to the way of things, I think will say that, look, online was okay, but it was not the best experience, right? And now that's something that we'll have to live with for a few years, right? Now, also, if you're talking, again, as I said, right, now, if you ask my own wife, studies at NCI, she's doing her MBA right now, and some of her classes moved online, and she said online education sucks, right? Now, and for me, I had to tell her that, look, you are the Hermes and Louis Vuittons of the world. And obviously, you like the experience. That's what you're there for, right? Somebody who eats in a 5-star hotel goes there for the experience. But again, talk to somebody who has to shop in Big Bazaar. Talk to somebody who has to eat a McDonald's burger. They would rather sit at home and do it, because otherwise you'll have to stand in queue to get into the trial room. You'll have to stand in queue while checking out. You will have to do so much that you otherwise need not do for a very smooth experience at home. So obviously, people have different expectations, and we are not solving for the top 1%. And that is not my purpose or vision, right? We want to solve for the bottom 20% and the middle 50%. And I think that's where massive value creation and value add is. And for them, I do believe that an online experience is much, much more structured when it comes from a university like, let's say, Chandigarh University, as compared to them enrolling in a college that is in a 1 kilometer radius when they're sitting in Gorakhpur. Right? So I think that is the kind of value proposition that we want to offer. And initial feedback, there will always be teething issues, right? When you build a product. And my product head has this way, whenever we have fights, he says that, look, Falgun, I'm telling you that if your first product has not received very bad negative feedback, it means that you have shipped the product too late. So he gives me all of this meta feedback. But I think overall, I'm very optimistic. And I'm very excited by what has happened over the last 6-12 months in terms of the feedback that we have received. We've been able to help universities and students to learn online. And I think it's an evolution process. And as I said, technology evolves very fast, and we'll be able to solve for all of those minor feedbacks that we've gotten over time.
Right. So before, sorry, Dr. Bawa, you want to add something with that?
Yeah, sure. I agree with Mr. Falgun. The kind of feedback that normally will come from the students, but this is a wonderful experience that they get something additional. But I think what is important, he has already, when he was mentioning about the feedback of some of his alumni, what I believe very strongly is that these online education of this professional nature is always a very useful value addition. I very strongly feel that online education normally will not replace regular degrees. Neither it can nor it should replace the normal degree. Like, for example, the whole BBA online or whole MBA online. I don't think that's going to be accepted for a long time. Like he said, yes, and evangelism will have to be created, and some kind of acceptability in the society, and with the business, the things might improve. But to my mind, it should not. It should not. A whole degree should not be replaced by online education, because it will deprive the students of many, many things. It might add a little bit of value. But nevertheless, this kind of education will be absolutely must and absolutely useful for those who have been deprived, or who already, like, for example, one of my BTech student who got a very good job, maybe with Microsoft, very happy till he or she reaches the middle level management. Now, then it is the time when upGrad can help that student with some say, management skills, with some data science skills, which otherwise either the company gives, because every company cannot give it that kind of education or that kind of opportunity to all the 50,000, 60,000, 100,000 employees. So that is where I think to keep themselves updated and also keep on increasing their skill vis-a-vis the technology disruptions which will keep on taking place. That is where I think online education is going to be of immense value. I'm not saying useful. It's going to be of immense value. Second thing here is that any university, including Chandigarh University, when technology disruptions take place, there is always a transition period. When I will get my faculty trained, I cannot replace all my faculty overnight and say, okay, I normally give that example of Python when it came in the market and it was used extensively by MBA students and others, the managers and everybody. And when we introduced as a concept of content beyond syllabus. We could not bring it into the syllabus straight away. It took almost 2 years because you have to go through various bodies and all that. Nevertheless, we started teaching them in the class in one form or the other. Now, that kind of change, and I'm sorry if I'm taken wrong, but we consider ourselves pretty efficient in terms of managing our affairs and bringing in new things and changes, because we are not a government university. We don't need anybody's approval. It is like we take a decision and that's it. But still, there will be a lot of transition. But then I think it is company like upGrad, where they have more access to the coming events and the kind of technology which are coming. And I think they can plan it well and deliver it quickly. So I think those kind of things are going to be really, really useful for those people who are already working and those who need to upgrade their skills and technology. Rather than, and even today, when I say for my MBA students or for other students, some of the courses, even if it is online, some of the courses will be like we are teaching, all right. There's no problem with that. And they can be delivered offline also. They can be delivered online also. Both ways it works. But there are some professionally technical content which perhaps will be difficult for most universities. I would not say it's going to be very difficult for me, because I always believe that we will try to accommodate and adjust ourselves. Transition will not be very long. But even some other universities, how many universities, for example, in India are teaching data science? How many universities even today are teaching cloud-based applications, or even IoT or artificial intelligence, or maybe information security, or maybe big data? So not many, I think. Whereas it started way back in the beginning of the last decade, from 2009-10, the applications had started, but not many universities were able to even bring in this. So these are the, I think, areas where I think institutions like upGrad, they are going to be of immense value, all online, but especially those who believe in quality and quality delivery, they can be of immense value.
Right.
That's my feedback on this.
Absolutely. And just mindful of time, I'm going to get to the last piece of this show, where we definitely, ask our guests, what's the top advice that you would give to the students in this day and age? And this doesn't necessarily mean in context of the disruption, but it could be any piece of advice which you would normally give to your students. So since I've got you going, Dr. Bawa, do you want to share one valuable tip for future students?
I normally, when I share with my students 3 things, which I will share with you also. I start sharing with the student right from day one. Number 1 is that failure should not be an option in your life. It cannot be. That's what we teach in Chandigarh University. Failure is not an option here in this university. The second tip that I want to give to the students is, whatever the price, you should not be number 2. We cannot be number 2. And this implies, third is the implication of this. The implication of this is that you must explore all resources, all possibilities. Now, we say it in one way. One way is that, please don't spare us. And this is what my Honorable Chancellor says on day 1 from the stage. And I'm sure you will be surprised to hear this. No private university would tell the student, don't spare us. Because they will always claim what we are giving you is more than that any university gives or anything. What is the idea behind this? Idea behind this is that whatever is the best available in the world, you think. What we think, of course, we will do. Our association with upGrad is a step in this direction. And similarly, with any other organization or any other, I would say, service provider, if we go, this will be a step in this direction. That I cannot deprive my student of anything best that is available in the world. I mean, if it's absolutely beyond my, I would say, reach or my control, then it's different. Now, the second implication of this is that, I believe in that famous saying that I don't or use all the brains that I have, but all that I can borrow. So please use all the resources, everything, and nothing, no piece of knowledge can be, useless. And the mathematical formula that I give to the student, I would like to give all those who are attending here, is that 1.01 raised to 365 is 37.8. If you improve yourself 1% every day, at the end of the year, you'll be 37 times. On the contrary, if you are 0.99 raised to power 365, it will be 0.03. So you lose 1% every day, you remain only 3% of what you are today. So I think student is told that it is time which will never come back again. My message to all young people, young men, women, all students is that please, nothing should come in the way of your acquiring knowledge and the best that is possible in this world today. And for that, online education, online resources, instead of wasting a lot of stupid time on stupid things on social media, please explore online resources.
Right.
And whatever you can grab, please grab and fill your pockets and your mind.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you for that very much. And Falgun, final thoughts on the top tip from your side to future students or even current students for that matter.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm qualified to give a tip, but the only thing I will say from my own learning is that do not think of learning as an isolated event in life, right? Where currently you're studying and you say that, okay, I have now done my MBA and now my life is set after this. I don't think anything is going to be set. I think people will do a great deal better if they think of learning as a continuous event. And learning does not mean do an online course or go to a university. You can learn in many different ways. I can learn from this conversation, from what Professor Bawa has said, or what you have said, or what Professor Rajan has said. So think of learning more as a continuous event and not a isolated event. And to that extent, be always curious and invest in learning. And I think it'll hold you in good stead. You can do whatever after that. You can read a book, you can do an online course, you can do multiple things. Because I think the rate at which things are going to evolve is something that we have not fully grasped, right? So whenever somebody joins upGrad, we ask them this question that, okay, how many years of experience do you have and how many jobs have you changed so far? So divide these two numbers. So if you have 7 years experience and you've changed 3 jobs, divide it and the number is, let's say, 2.2 or 2.3, right? Do that same number for your parents, right? How many years of experience do they have and how many jobs they've changed? For people in the next generation or in the current generation, that number is going to be 2 to 3, while for our parents, that number is going to look like 20 to 30, right? That difference is because of the rate at which the industry is changing and the rate at which our own aspirations are changing. And to facilitate both of those and to make the best use of both of those, if you think of education as an isolated event, I think you will struggle. But if you think of education as a continuous event, then I think you will do really well and you will be able to really benefit from both of these macro trends of your own aspiration and the changing trends in the industry.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And you are definitely qualified, Falgun, no doubt about that. To give that tip, I'm pretty sure students are going to find it very, very valuable. And just moving on to Dr. Sharma. Dr. Sharma, do you want to add anything from your side in terms of a tip that you would want to give to our future students?
I just want to say, whatever you want to do, put your efforts 100%. And nothing is impossible in this point, sir. Just this.
Excellent. But once again, thank you, Honorable Pro-Chancellor Dr. Bawa. Thank you very much, Falgun, for making time today. And Dr. Sharma, thank you very much. I guess we will be in contact as you are the International Director for Foreign Affairs. So we will be in contact and appreciate your time today, gentlemen.
Thank you so much,
Thank
and wonderful meeting Srikanth, and especially Falgunji, although we are partnering with upGrad, but we didn't have the opportunity to meet each other. So it's been a wonderful experience. Hope to be a part of such conversation in future also. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot,
Thank
Dr.
you very
Bawa, for your
much.
time. Pleasure meeting you. Thanks, Professor Rajan, and thanks a lot, Srikanth, for facilitating this.
Thank you.
you very much,
Cheers.
everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.